Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? You got your coffee? Does the dog have water? Did he go to the bathroom? You have literally a minute or two to do that before we actually go deep dive. In our today's um, show, we're going to talk about how love can fail a dog. And I know people were like, whoa, what are you talking about? Love? What do you mean, love? Well, let me explain. Love is the way we love as humans is very different on the way love perceive dogs perceive love. And coming in from a human mindset and this theoretical love, and we threw that to the dog cannot actually do anything with it. Now, picture people adopting a dog or fostering a dog. It comes in with certain problems. A, because the dog being in the rescue system, and the dog comes in from your family. He comes in from a rescue, from a shelter, free roaming, from a hoarding situation. There is no way a dog end up in a system without having at least one trauma. And so it's common for people who take the dog in to want to pour love onto the dog. Let me give you an example. You take a nice plant. You just got the plant from um, um, store, and you want to pour love in it. How would you love a plant? Hugging the plant, talking to the plant. You can do all these things, right? And you can pour water in it. And because you love the plant so much, how much water you will pour into the plant, right? You see where I'm going with this, right? So a plant has a certain amount of water that she needs, and if you put too much water in it, you're going to drown the plant. A plant you can only hug so much without breaking the leaves and the flowers, right? You can only talk so much to a plant without the plant thinking you're nuts. Okay? Now, why do I make that comparison? Because sometimes we need kind of like a bridge of thoughts from one subject to another for us to get that moment going. Let's look at this way. A dog comes from a place where he was stable. Hold space for me right now. In this dramatic situation he lived, in this hoarding situation, he's being chained to the tree. Everything, these bad things that we see happening, there's one thing that's consistent, and the dog feels safe. It's the consistency of the situation that the dog makes feel safe. He's always chained to the tree. He's always in his crate. He's never being taken. So there's always something consistent. Okay? Now, it's not right, of course, right? But there is something the dog can rely on. There's something stable in that situation that he learns to live with it. And then suddenly we come in as rescuers, we come in as animal control officers, we come in as whatever people. We take the dog from another property. I don't want to give it a name though. And then we save the dog out of that situation. We put him in a new situation. And we're not giving any stability. Everything that we give is love. Remember the plant? We pour water in it. We hug it. We break the leaves. We break the flowers. We're trying to communicate with that dog, but the dog, all he sees, he's stressed. He's displaced. In it, from the moment he was taken out of the stable situation, whatever that good or bad is, and comes into a new situation, that becomes in with the trauma. And you tell me, trauma? He's just being rescued. I get it. Let me give you another bridge example. And I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training. And I discuss things that nobody wants to talk about. I'm passionate about educating people about trauma, about behavior, and about relationship because they're coming together as a package. So we want to be aware of it. So it's a good time to share that video with a couple of words when you share it so people understand what's going on. So this show today will be trauma informed and secure attachment based, complying to the hierarchy of needs to give it kind of a lump sum package. So the bridge that I want to explain to you in Germany, trigger alert right here. In Germany, there was, you know, Hitler and the Jewish population and the gypsies and all these groups of people that he decided to chambers and eradicate them, clean them out. And there were the allies who came to rescue, got rid of the system, rescue the people. One thing that happened very in the beginning, of course, these people starved to death. And then, of course, what we do is we're going to feed them. Many people died from food. Well, they were hungry. They were starving to death, and we were feeding them, and they died. So their body got into shock. I'm not a medical professional. I don't understand exactly what happened, but the way it was helped failed them because we didn't know better. We never had this kind of experience before, right, in the system. See, the rescue comes in from the same angle. We take the dog out of his miserable situation and we want to help them. And we push so much information onto the dog, and the dog basically shuts down. Not many days ago, um, and you will hear more about it, I'm sure, there was this group of people that rescued a dog, stray dog, and if I recall right, there were like 10 dogs in that group of rescue dogs. And I would I would not specify the breed because the breed really doesn't matter at that point what breed it was. It was just a dog who the dog, it was a female, was very stressed. And you could hear from the video these people did, or this person did, how much love came from it. And this person really loved the dog. Don't get me wrong, she really wanted to help that dog. But the way she did it was not helpful to the dog. The dog got overwhelmed. He was stressed in a new place. And even though the dog has been there for a couple of days or weeks, the dog was still stressed because the people didn't recognize how to handle that trauma. And without that knowledge, you're giving wrong data, you're giving wrong information, you're giving wrong input, you give wrong medication. The whole system is provided wrong to that dog. What happened later is very tragic. One person got killed, the other one heavy traumatized, or actually heavy injured. The dog being put to sleep, and they suspected rabies. It's interesting, it doesn't happen very often, but if it happens, it becomes news. But we need to understand the concept here because it will happen again. It will continue happening. Sometimes we don't talk about it, but there are many times it's happening. In a complicated situation, I think that should be better. How many of you have struggled with getting in a dog from rescue? How many of you have adopted a dog and you're struggling with it in the first couple of days? How it works with me. When I get in a dog, the first thing I do is I do a behavior assessment. And I know people says, "Well, it's too early, you don't get feedback." Oh, yes, I do. And here's how I get it. I observe the dog in general what he does. I give him space. I see how he responds to his environment. I see how his water take is. I see how he eats. I see his patterns. I see his settled behaviors that come in while I'm giving him space. My first thing that I look for is How is the dog communicating? Does he try to communicate or is he shut down? And then you need intuitive. You need to trust your guts and not your logic. Okay? And sometimes your heart is a good tool and your brain is a good tool, right? And your guts is a good tool, but we need to have kind of a balance. I would like you to think with your heart and love with your brain instead of love with your heart and think with your brain. And the reason why I go that route is because sometimes we love and we don't think, and sometimes we think and we don't love. So we have to swap it consciously. Think of it consciously. So my message here is you have to be conscious about what's happening here. Every step you do, every gesture you do, every interaction you do has to become conscious. Let me give an example. I will consciously look at you, right? I'm paying attention that you can see me. Am I staring you down? No, I'm trying to establish a communication. Now, what I will do is I would look at your laptop, right? I will look away from you. I will pretend I mind my business. So you see, those little subtle gestures send a lot of information. I cannot give you exactly the recipe that you need for your particular dog because each dog is individual. Even though you know a lot of the breed that you're dealing with, and even if you're a dedicated rescue that deals only with one breed, see the breed as a general idea, a lump sum of breed traits. They are likely in that breed frame. And then you have the individual dog who consists of those packages of the breed traits with a sliding scale. So each breed trait will have a sliding scale, more or less, more to the right, more to the left. And it's not good or bad, it's just right or left. And those sliding scale with all these individual breed traits, if you're interested with the breed traits, send me a message and we'll talk about that. Good. That's very interesting. So you rescued a Yorkie. I'm going to talk about that. So I'm going to go put a star on it. I'm going to check in on that later because we will able to talk about it. And so in that sliding scale, if you're interested, you can send me a message on my website, holisticdogtraining.org, and sign up for um, getting on my mailing list, and you can get a copy of it. So see that sliding scale. Let's say, for example, persistence. Okay, so persistence could be right or left, could be more or less. Where do we need persistence? Um, Guarding dog needs persistence. He needs to stick to guarding until the threat is gone. Now, hunting dog, we need persistence, but we don't need so much persistence because at some point the dog should be able to come back again and not over persistently try to get to the prey he cannot get. And then we have a service dog, for example, that we want little persistence. Okay, we need him to feel the situation, how he feels like, and disconnect and feel like he doesn't have to be persistent wanting to get affection of this person if this is a dog who goes to hospitals. So we see that even though the same breed can for different jobs needs more or less of those breed traits. So that you have to capture first, see what the breed traits are. How does he respond to triggers? How curious is he, for example, and so on. And then what we look for is the individuality of that dog. Because of his trauma, because of his previous experience, he has that on top of his sliding scale breed traits. That is his personality plus environmental factors, weather, temperatures, environment, partners, location, plus medical condition, and so on. So you see that even though we think that we get a dog because he's white and cute, right? That's the lovely breed we want, or because he's so strong and big because the breed we want, we forget about 90% of other factors that make out that dog. So, in fact, the genetic predisposition is 43%, to give you a number, and the rest are environmental factors. So, if you get a dog who has specific breed, does it mean you get the same dog all over again by choosing that breed? No, of course. However, the best breed, the best dog with all these genetics perfectly done, the trauma can ruin the whole thing. In addition to that, even if you get a perfect dog with perfect situation and everything is going fine, the dog doesn't have an issue, and one environmental factor is not provided correctly, it can ruin the whole dog. Let me let me give you an example. Um, I'm going to show you Linda's Michael's hierarchy of needs. We look at that pyramid. Well, the first thing you're going to see on the very bottom is the biological needs. So when the dog comes into your home, the first thing you have to establish in that pyramid is to establish that green layer here. Proper nutrition, fresh water, sufficient exercise, air, fresh air, right? Don't get me wrong. There are places where air wasn't provided correctly, right? Proper sleep, indoor shelter, safety. You see, these biological needs, there is nowhere that says there time. Do you see time anywhere written there? No. It's not a time factor, it's an event factor. The next thing we want to look for is that love is not down here yet. Do you see love anywhere? No. Because the dog in survival mode, in that stress situation he is, love is not a matter of surviving. What he needs to survive is nutrition, fresh water, sufficient exercise, the basics. No matter what species that is, even if it's a human, all you need to cover is biological needs. And it's not as clearly as it thinks it is. If people go to prison, some things are not being provided for. In some countries, you go to prison, you barely get like three out of those properly provided. So that not provided for would keep the dog in survival mode. So if you're not protecting your dog, if you're not proper nutrition, if you don't give your dog the proper veterinary care, and if you don't make clean up the dog from the situation he is, he will not be able to go to the next level. The whole pyramid in a rotten base will collapse at some point as you build it up. The next thing you look for is emotional needs, which is leadership. And don't take me wrong, I'm not talking about the pack leader, about parenting concept. Okay? Leading your dog into safe situation. Let your dog follow you. You become an authority. So providing a dog a sense of being supported by an authority, the dog will start connecting to you. And that consistency that he was before, you provide now too, but differently. Because back then he was consistently tied up to a tree, consistently being locked in a crate, consistently being ignored. So he needs that consistency to survive. But your consistency is better. Consistently giving the dog food, consistently fresh water, consistently exercise, consistently sleep. Everything is provided for consistently. The dog starts feeling safe. And this is where the whole thing opens up for the next level, where the dog can actually start trusting you and receive the love that you have through the security that you're providing. And while your dog offers unconditional love, we often offer conditioned love. And how do we do that? That I say is wrong. Have you heard the term nothing in life is for free? How many of you are using that practice to your dog? How many of you work with the concept nothing in life is for free? So if your dog wants something, food for example, he has to sit or lay down. If he wants to get a treat, he has to sit or lay down. If he wants affection, it has to be a certain way. How many of you do that? Don't be ashamed. I would not blame you. Anyway, right or wrong, we're going to talk about that because we are here to learn. I'm not telling you I know everything. I know you know a lot. And even if I know a little bit, your knowledge that is a lot plus my little bit can add to that so you know more than I do. That's the whole point here. Good, Patty. I was too. I thought that that's the right way to do. Now, I'll give you a trigger alert. Where I was born, nothing in life was for free. No, wait. I got free milk. I forgot about that. I got free affection. I forgot about that. Nobody asked me to make push ups to get my parents' love, kind of, sort of. But later on, when I grew up, then people asked me to do things like going to school, right? Or paying rent in my own home, kind of, sort of, or do the yard. And suddenly, that type of love changed from unconditional love into conditioned love. While I was building a secure attachment with my parents because I got unconditional love and unconditionally food that I need, and space and safety and temperature, and everything's being without conditions, then it shifted. But what we do with dogs, we get the dog into our home and then we come in with conditioned love. If you don't do this, I don't care for you. If you don't do that, I don't provide you safety. Wait, why not? Who told you that nothing in life is for free? The term actually stems from financial sector. I don't remember who exactly that was in my name back in the 70s. He came up with a story. It was actually a book about that everything that you do around marketing and production and bringing things into the market, it comes with a cost. So nothing in life is for free. And people took that about financial stuff, it threw them to the dogs. But we know that that concept is wrong at the base because we still have crisis, we still have people not working, we still don't have enough money because everything is under conditioned. So think about that. Your dog should not have to make push-ups to get your affection. Your dog should not be in down stay position and wait for the drool to make a little lake underneath to get his food. All you need is your personal space. You can ask that. Hey, how about you keep my space? Stay away from me a little bit so I can put the food down. Okay, you can eat it. And that's it. So give your dog that sensation of unconditional love. Okay? Unconditional love that I'm here to help you get out of the mess you're in right now. I'll help you get out of your trauma. I do understand and I'm trauma informed to recognize that you have severe trauma going on. You have a trauma brain, and everything that I tell you or ask you may trigger. Have you thought about if you ask your dog to sit and you're like, why not? Of course, I'll ask him to sit. What? Gonna jump all over me? What if in his previous home he was or she was sitting, the word sit was paired with punishment? Thought of that? What if down was connected to a shock collar? Sit was connected to a shock collar. Food was connected to a shock collar or punishment method. The more the dog wanted it, the more he got punished. Have you thought of that? You know how many people use food to train or untrain a drive? They put the food down and have the shock collar in their hand, and if the dog wants to go after the food, they shock him because the dog's supposed to sit and stay because we want to, because we want to establish our authority by force. And that dog comes to your house, and you want to give him a treat, and you ask him to sit, and then the dog mouths you, and you don't know why. You're feeling betrayed because you love the dog, and he attacked you. He killed your partner, and you're like, wait, what? The dog was wrong. No, the system was wrong because the system didn't recognize that this dog coming from a traumatic, stressful situation, he needs to recover. He needs to have this foundation of that pyramid established. And we failed it because we were focusing on love only, and then we provided love conditionally. And that's hierarchy of needs. My dog needed to go to the bathroom, and he went to the door. I could ignore him, right? And I didn't. So what I did is I opened the door and had him go outside to go to the bathroom. That shows consistency. He shows me things and I support him. Now, if I would not do that, he would get more stressed. He would get himself into trouble. He would start chewing on things, which he did. And so I would not blame the dog for doing so. I want to check my pyramid. Does my dog get what he needs? Is anything that I didn't offer? Okay. And I walk my way up that thinking ladder from the biological needs. Biological needs. Did he go to the bathroom? Did he eat? Does he have a belly ache? Anything, health conditions? What's going on? Right. Oh, yeah, right. He ate, but he didn't go to the bathroom because he was busy with his food. And yeah, well, he needs to go to the bathroom. So you can create that checklist for yourself in your mind. The next thing I want to check, does my dog has emotional needs right now? That's why he's behaving a certain way. Now, for those people who get in trouble with it, is they fail right here on the very bottom. And they don't see it coming because nobody talked about it. Right? Now, how many of you have shared that video so far? And I know you mean good and you keep that. But what if somebody, your friend, you're in the Facebook group, they don't know that? They will fail the dog they just adopted. And it happened to me too, not once, three, four times. I adopted out about 400 dogs in my career directly. And I failed because I failed to discuss with them this hierarchy of needs so they understand what the dog needs, plus educate them about trauma. I honestly, a couple of years ago, I had no clue there's a relocation trauma. And you're like, what? Relocation trauma? Yeah. How many of you have moved from one place to another with a spouse, with children, because of work, because of military, because of a service? Was this transition smooth and with no problem? With your logic, with your knowledge, you still struggled with it? How come? Now take a dog who has no clue what's happening to him. Everything happens to the dog without his control. He's being moved from a place of safety according to his mindset, even if you see this abuse, right? But he was safe there, into a non safe place. And you cannot provide him safety. You're failing the dog from day one. He was better off there than he is with you right now. Trust me. Because even in that traumatic condition he's in, he was able to secure one thing: consistency. Everything can be predicted when it's happening next. And that's a good thing. Well, it's not a good thing, but it is a good thing. If he comes to your home and he doesn't have that consistency, if he doesn't know what's going to happen next, that causes more drama than the previous situation that already caused. And so instead of reducing the trauma, we're increasing the trauma while we're trying to love the dog. That's what I want to point out. Does it make sense? I know it may sound logic. I don't want you to just start like, ah, that sounds logic. It makes totally sense. Do you understand the concept? That's my point. Making it sense. I have ADD. You can talk to me a story. I will remember the story as long as you talk me. If you ask me 10 minutes later, what did I say? I will just remember the important stuff. What did you get out of that conversation we have so far? What are the important steps when you rescue a dog? Can you give me three things that are very important to the dog? In my behavior program, in my trauma informed behavior program or adoption support program, I call it secure attachment. And in the trauma healing program, which is the behavior healing program, the first thing we do is we establish that hierarchy of need. We need to understand exactly what the dog needs. We need to understand the breed traits. We need to understand what the dog needs, what the dog has been gone through. And it literally takes me like 20 to 30 minutes in an online conversation to establish what happened based on what we know about the facts. And if we don't know the facts, because the dog was found stray, based on the behavior, based on the behavior patterns, based on certain tests that we can do, very simple, doesn't even put you in danger, we can reverse engineer what happened in the past, what is likely to happen, because we really don't know, but likely could happen in the past. We cannot put it down in the timeline because we don't have a carbon, you know, um, testing. But what we can do though is see all those pattern on those pattern behaviors, what likely age the dog was where this trauma happened, and what's likely to happen. But we need to get out of our brain. We need to get out of our trauma brain and get into the dog's trauma brain. And even if we capture that, the next thing we want to do is teaching the dog consistency, teaching the dog where his is. I I talked to a person a couple of years back who was actually in a foster system, and he later was adopted and he became a very successful person. I said, "What was the success story in your journey?" And he said, "My foster story sucked." And I empathized with it. I wasn't a foster, but I've been in different care systems in that case. I was cared by my grandparents, I was cared by different people, families, um, and I understand what the concept was. He told me that he didn't have a good life as a foster child. And I said, "How did you make it out?" He said, "One person helped me get out." And I said, what was so special? He said, "The first thing we did when we met, he showed me his workshop. He said, that's my workshop. You can use any tools you want. Stay away from those tools and from these tools. I'm going to talk to you later about that. And then he asked me if I can help him. And he said, I was like, sure. I felt needed. I felt somebody saw a value in me, and he gave me something to do. He trusted me to do something, and I felt I was part of it. And I was like, it makes totally sense. I didn't have that. When I was cared by people, everything was control. Do what I tell you to do. Don't do this and don't do that. Nobody told me what to do. Everybody told me what not to do. So I didn't get information I needed. I didn't get unconditional love. All I got is information, correction, punishment. How far did it get me? Did I survive? I did. Even though it made me who I am right now, I had potential. Did I reach my potential? I don't know. I reached the potential I could reach based on those environmental factors, but I could be different. I could have less ADD, I could have less trauma. That would be my life easier. Now, one thing that we notice here is that many people have very good support, but because of their trauma brain, they don't take that support. On the other side, those people don't take that support. On the other side, the system gives them too much information as support. They give them long lists of to do things, and I have to do this and I have to do that, and the love is missing. Understanding that that person was, oh, he just wants a dog. He doesn't want a to-do list, right? And how detailed is that to-do list? I'm an engineer from trade. If you give me a thing to assemble, the first thing I'm going to do is try to understand the concept. I try to get in this designer's mind and try to assemble it based on what I believe it should look like. And of course, it's going to look like a mess because I didn't open up the instructions. I feel the instructions tell me what to do while I have a talent and a gift to do it faster. They give number one, number two. Come on, put the screws together. I'm going to find the right screws here. No, I'm going to fail the system. I'm going to fail that assembly because I think I know things, but I don't. What the problem here is a disconnect. Is a disconnect of communication, creating a safe triangle of the foster or adopter, the rescue, and the dog. And the rescue is also the shelter or whatever system is behind that. We're focusing on the success of the dog and we fail the foster or the adopter. Or we're so focused on the adopter and the foster that we fail the dog. Or we want so much to help the dog that we ignore the foster and the rescue and the supporting system that's behind. So we have a lack of communication issue. Now, how do we fix that? It's complicated because we have the mindset that I want what I want and they have it and I want to take it. It's mine. I saw it. I want to help it. And I, in my mind, in my trauma brain, I accuse those people with rescues for not doing as good work as they could do. There are other options. I have some people in their minds that shelters are here to kill people, dogs, sorry, and they want the dog quickly out, and they don't listen to what this. So they hear the mouth going up and down, right? But they're not listening because in their mind is the question that will follow, not listening to the conversation. Because right now the dog is there, they're ready to be adopted, and they want the dog right now, and they shut down. Well, why would you think the dog would do better than you? While you're trying to communicate to your dog, the dog is shut down. He doesn't listen to you because in his mind, he accuses you of being a mean person just like everybody else. How do we get out of there? So I created a training program, an entire system to help people, adopters, get educated before they make a decision to get a dog, which dog they should get, by recognizing, hey, what kind of parent am I? What kind of parenting style do I have? Is my parenting style actually good for dogs? Do I have an experience with my dogs? Am I bought into a specific breed? Am I communicating with the right rescue? How do I vet a good rescue? So, if you don't have that knowledge, the chances you fail are high as a foster, as a rescue, as a adopter, and as a dog. If I don't know what to do before I get the dog, and I don't know what to do when I get the dog, and what to do before I actually think about getting a dog, and what I do after a month I have a dog, then you should not get a dog. Simple as that. If I don't know how to finance my car, why would I spend money on a car? Why am I looking at my car if I don't know how to afford it? How many people bought a great car and then don't have money to service it, and it breaks down, and they have a good car that broke down and they cannot fix it because A, they don't have the skills, and then they don't have the money to address it. So with dogs, it's not different. People don't think that having a dog can cost you $1,000 off the bat. You come home, the dog looks fine, he's just losing weight. Oh, he has parasites. Oh, shit, I have to go to the vet. Well, the vet checks the dog, gives you a prescription, something, and then you discover that he has heartworm. Ah, great, awesome. Now another $1,500. And you haven't even got the dog for a walk. Food, preventatives, training, you name it. Even buying a stupid book will cost you like $12 or something and up. Hiring a trainer will cost you $70, $75 and up. Oh, you didn't calculate that part. Why not? You don't have a budget? What are you talking about? You don't have a budget? You bought a house not having a budget for repairs? Like, give me a break. And as a rescue, why don't we sort things better out? Ask, do you have a budget available for your dog? We recommend as a rescue, the theoretical we, to have $1,000 backup in a credit card in any way. I've been to a doctor. I was short on money. We just bought an RV and we didn't bought a house yet. Everything was basically spent. And then my dog got sick. I had to go to the vet. And I was like, every time he talked about things, I saw the hundreds of dollars adding to my bill. And I was like, shit. Well, I had a backup plan. I was safe. But I'm just saying. So all the love that you have for your dog will not help your dog. It will fail your dog if the rest of the system is not established. Love is not the baseline. It's upper in the system. So offer only love to your dog will fail the dog. And even if you are to the second level, a second base, whatever you call it, and where love is needed, and then you come with conditioned love, you're going to fail your dog again. Everything you did right, and you're going to screw that up again. Why? Because you will trigger the dog. Because the unconditional love he needs from you, he gets it conditioned. And your dog is like, you know what? I don't need you. I can handle myself. Why would I come when you call me? That's what's in for me. If I come, you yell at me, why didn't I come earlier? And then I come finally and you ask me to sit instead of paying me for coming. Right? And then you want me to do things for you? Why would I do that? It's kind of going to work the first month and people told you, hey, I want you to do this. And you're like, that's not in my job description. Who cares? Do it. Like, okay. The first month you see your check coming in and it's kind of like not exactly what they promised. And you're like, wait a minute. I do all this additional work and you pay me not exactly what you promised? You know what? Arrivederci. I'm gonna find a new job. I don't need you. I work for my money. I work because I love my work, but I'm not doing it for you. I work for me. Yeah, sometimes, Yvonne, we need to recognize that we have a certain mindset. And my goal is to create that bridge of understanding. So when I do online sessions with people, the first thing I also ask, what is your profession? Not because I see money running. I don't care how big your house is. I don't care how much money you have. I'm interested on what you do best. What do you do for a living? Where are you good at? And then people tell me different things. Oh, I'm a nurse, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm this, or I'm that. I'm a painter. So I can capture their knowledge and say, you do this all the time. Okay, before you start painting, you're mixing the paint. You make a good mix so everything is well distributed. You just don't take one paint and start painting, and when it's done you grab the other paint. You mix it, you have a transition. And I can use this information for different things, like feeding, for example, transitioning food from one food to another, teaching people about thresholds. People who work in banks also can apply their knowledge to the dogs. Risk management, for example, understanding the risk. Would a banker give money out like that without backing up a little bit? Understanding the projection of that risk. And how about a lawyer? What does it have to do with a dog and lawyers? Yeah, teaching people that dogs work on a specific law. They have laws in place. They have family code of conduct. They have rules. So as a lawyer, it's easier for you to understand that concept. So write down a family code of conduct, paragraph one, paragraph two, paragraph three, and talk to you that in the family. What do we want the dog to do in this house? Whose responsibility is it? Of course, we can talk about mechanic, a car mechanic. How does car mechanics work with dogs? Well, understanding that every car has needs. He needs air in the tires. He needs oil. He needs gas. He needs the right gas. Not the cheap gas, a good gas. Well, he needs washing once in a while. Thinking of my car. Yes, I can take everyone's specialty and implement it in this training program because I want people to step into their parenting power based on what they know and what they're good at. Because the reason they got the dog and the reason why they foster the dog is because of who they are. So why would I ignore that? Why would I put this person in a list to do if he has a better list? But I'm not asking that question. So we have 5 minutes left. Let's go to Tina. So rescue Yorkie, she is now, and I'm still having problems with her peeing and pooping in the cage. I only tell them the time. I only tell them the time and when we go off. I have two other dogs, and they do not do that. Well, one thing that I will ask a question here if we had a session, which I highly recommend we do, so I can better understand the dynamics, is when is the dog pooping and peeing in the house or in the crate? Usually, what I see often, it's not your particular case, maybe, that people, um, the dogs go in the crate, people leave, and the dog has actually separation anxiety. Other cases is, and the dog starts having severe separation anxiety, so they defecate, peeing and pooping in the crate when you're gone. Other things that happens very often, dogs are very scared and fearful. So they go outside, which is scary. They don't poop, or they poop only the necessary, and then they go back in where it's nice and cozy and safe, and they poop in the kennel. So those dogs usually who do that are coming from a breeding background, like either breeders, backyard breeders, or they're being used for breeding. And so they've been held in cages a very long time. So they don't have a problem pooping in the cage and eating in the cage or eating the poop in the cage because that's what they always did. It's just the trauma brain that kicks in. If they're stressed, that's what they do, is because that's connected to stress. Here's the funny part. Guardian breeds, people have problems with guardian breeds guarding things. And so we make that assumption that, oh, yeah, he's guarding because he's a guarding dog. No. Guarding breeds have special breed traits that are more likely to protect their family. So their breed traits is recognizing family versus not family and defend the family from intruders or strangers and have breed traits that make them very comfortable doing that at any cost. But usually, if a dog shows resource guarding or guarding issues, it's because he's either insecure attached or he's in a trauma brain. And so, I want to be very careful how we approach that. So, the whole thing is so important to do the assessment correct. So, doing a trauma informed assessment, otherwise, the whole protocol goes wrong, and the foster will fail, and the adopter will fail. Good. I hope you guys have a good coffee time with me today. Thank you for your questions. I hope you will share it and with your comments on it. Like if you share it to people, make a comment on the top. This is why I would like you to watch that video because of that information you get. And if you need help, you can reach out on my website, holisticdogtraining.org, and we can sit down and see what the heck is going on. Good. So it was nice talking to you guys today. And see you next Saturday. Have a great rest of your weekend and enjoy your love and your dog.